I often make these little weirdlings, and there's something that I've done, gosh, probably since I was 8 years old and first started working with clay. Now I make them out of polymer clay because that's been my clay material of choice, but I used to make them with earthen clays that were kiln fired. So I'm making one here, and I was trying to think of, I sometimes make them out of glow in the dark, sometimes make them out of other colors. I was thinking, okay, so what color do I want to work with? And what do I want this little guy to be, or little gal, or whatever, to be? What am I trying to imbue into the personality of this little piece? And I thought, and as I often do, I either think about what's the season or what's something that I've found recently that I'm excited to incorporate. There's a million different reasons, but I was thinking, I'm kind of feeling very yellowy and orangey right now, and part of that, I think, is we all need a little bit of glow, a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of energy right now, and yellow and orange are often related to your personal energy and joy of life, your creativity, your sense of passion, your feelings of warmth and liveliness, which we all need a little bit more of that today. So that's what I did here when I made the yellow. Now the next thing is I have to figure out what kind of creature this is. And it can go any number of directions. And what I try to do, now this is going to be a limited edition. So what I sometimes do is I make one-of-a-kind pieces. And then I just let the creature make itself. I just kind of start and just see where it goes. But when I'm doing a limited edition, what that basically means is, and then instead of it being a one-off, that I will then present once a month in my Diamond member artwork sale. So I have sales of artworks and treasures and unique and I shouldn't say unique, but like originals. And that is part of my Diamond group. If you go to the description, you'll see that information. It's very inexpensive, but it's a little group that you can join, and once a month or more, I will have sales of my one-of-a-kind stuff. And then if there's any left, which sometimes there is, but not very often, then that will go to my general populace on my website. So that's why there's very seldom anything over there. But in order to make the difference between the smaller group that gets my pieces, which I appreciate them so very much, and the general population that might want to see a piece from me or wonder why my artwork is never for sale, then I do these limited editions. So I come up with something that I can duplicate and that it will look interesting, but I won't get tired of making it over and over again. For as many of them as either I feel like doing or there are orders for, whichever comes first, because I don't like to do anything beyond my limit of enjoyment, because I think you lose something when you're just doing something because you kind of have to, and I certainly struggle with that. Some people are much better than I am about being able to, just buckle down and make a production run. I have always struggled with that. I need to be emotionally engaged in what I'm making, or I really have a hard time in doing it. So I try to do something where I know I can make this multiple times and not run out of the excitement about it. And so on something like this, I am aware of, like, what, if I'm going to add something, what do I have? Do I have enough? And if I'm going to reproduce it, can I easily make that thing again and again and again? So this little guy is just coming together. And what I did is, again, thinking of this yellow brightness, energizing, yellows and oranges, what that means metaphysically, because I like to look into that and see, okay, what is this color associated with? What part of the energy of ourselves individually and as a collective is this stimulating or supporting or whatever? All that stuff I think about, and then I find out which stones go with this. So what I've got here is citrine, which is another yellow stone supporting of this whole yellow thing, and which is more likely. But these were some briolettes that I got somewhere along the way of citrine. And I just thought I'd show you that when you are working with polymer clay, which has to go in the oven to be hardened, so it's a heat curing clay, and anything that you add is not what you can add, like if I'm working with epoxy clay. If I'm working with epoxy clay, then I can just stick it all around, and cementness of the epoxy clay will hold it in place, and it will be permanently attached pretty much just by the clay itself. But polymer doesn't do that. Polymer is a plastic. It's all sticky right now, but then once it hardens in the oven, anything that I just push in is going to fall out. So I have to add a little wire. So what I've done here, in fact, I'll show you this because I have this in all of my books, but it's possible that, you know, you don't remember it, or you've never seen that. And if you want one of my books, again, in the description there will be a link to my website, and I have all of my books as ebooks over there, all but one that I didn't self-publish. But anyway, all of my books are essentially there, and you can get the ebook version of it. And I go through this in every one of the books, as well as any tutorial that works with polymer clay. There's a tutorial section, go check that out. But what I do is I take a piece of 28 gauge wire, if I'm working with a bead, in this case I am, and I'm just going to use this wire to create like a little tail. So I'm just taking that wire, and with my pliers I am twisting it to create a little tail. So if I was using a head pin, then I wouldn't need the wire, but when I've got a hole at the base like I do here, I can't use a head pin. Something like this, I could use a head pin because there's a hole right in the middle. And then I make just a little hook on the end. And the reason I do this is that metal does not stick permanently to polymer clay. So when I make a hook, that hook sort of embeds itself in the polymer clay and helps it not get pulled out. Okay, so you can see I have this many of these little citrine briolettes that I can use to make these. So the limited edition will be limited to those because that's all I have. I don't know how many years I bought those, but that's all I have of them. And then I can press this little headpiece of citrine in there. So he is like channeling the happiness energy from the sun and the world, and then beaming it right back out to you, probably through his nose, because he seems like that kind of guy. So, or gal. So then now I have to think, does he have a smile, or is he enigmatic? It's hard to know. Sometimes smiles are great because then I know immediately what persona he is, but also sometimes smiles can kind of lock him into a personality, and I don't always want to do that. But I'm going to make a smile this time because it is important to me that this has a happy vibe, because that's what I'm doing. So I'm using my tool, and you can get this is a very, very good tool I've had made for me by my wonderful friends at the Complete Sculptor in New York City, and it is great. This is my go-to tool. It's stainless steel, works fantastic for any sculpting medium. You can also get that on my site. But now I have his or her cute little mouth there, and I think I'm going to pick a pronoun to call them, and I think I'm going to pick female, only because I want to kind of have this sort of feminine energy of abundance and joy that goes with this. Not that that's only for females, but I think that for today, that's what I feel like. So I'm going to do that. So I'm putting a little bit of powder, and I use Pan Pastel as my powder of choice. And I am going to use a bit of tape to take care of any powder that got away from me. So now that little mouth is a little bit more noticeable, and I'm going to come by with, again, a bit more of that orange and add some more orange to the snouty part of this, and just bring that up here. I find that powders really help me define my sculpture. They help me with creating the nuance that I want and the details that I want. I love that. And again, since it's a limited edition thing, I want to make sure that it is something that I can replicate easily so that each one looks very similar. And I think so far I can. So now I'm going to put some color around the eyes. Typically, I use a dark, almost a mascara kind of thing around the eyes, because I don't know, I feel like that always just looks so great. So I'm going to take a little bit of this brown that I have and kind of put that around the eyes. And I don't mind that it gets a little crazy. I like that look. That's a little too crazy right there, but we can bring that into control. Now, it's on the surface of the eyes. Don't let that bother you, because once that bakes and stuff, that will go right away. And I can minimize that a bit just so you can see. those shiny little eyes. I use these little glass eyes. They're I think I have a link as well to my Amazon influencer page where I get these eyes from, and I absolutely recommend them. They are fantastic. And I might just choose to add a little bit of brown to that tip of the snout, just to give it a little bit more something. I find that these pastels are just a game changer on the quality. So there's the beginning of my little happy thing with her citrine there. And now I'm just going to add some kind of appendage. Let's think about what kind. Oh, and another thing I like to do that I feel like adds a lot of personality to the piece, which of course it's all about that, of making it personality, is just kind of giving the whole body a little head tilt. You see how much cuter that ends up looking? And then I haven't decided if these were ears or just what they are and whether they should be colored or not. I think I'm going to leave them like that for now. And then try to decide what is going on with his hands. Does he have his hands, he or she, I guess we keep saying that. Does she have her hands out? Does she have them held held together with her fingers interlacing? Is she holding, I have this other citrine. Is she holding a piece of this? Let me think about this. Well, I think I might try to make the hands sort of outstretched. So we'll see. So I'm going to start off with a couple of little logs here that feel about the same length. So I'm trying to make sure that I can do something that would be easy enough to replicate, but still enjoyable enough to want to. Pan pastel is an amazing pigment to use with polymer clay, or epoxy clay, any of the different paper clays. It all works fabulous for that. You can use any kind of chalk powder, pastel powder, mica powder. Any of those things work on polymer clay. Pan pastel is just my powder of choice. Each other, and I use my fingers for lots of texture. One hand there, one hand up, sort of like that's fun, huh? All right, let's with that. And then I think what I'm going to do on the little tips of her earling things there is going to maybe see if I can put a little more yellow, which I think it might have to be a yellow-white mixture, and just see if I can brighten that up. Might have to be mostly white, actually, just to make a little bit of color up there for something a little different. Let's see how a little bit of white on this part looks too. That's fun. Just to feel a little bit different. Maybe a little of that on the chest. All right. So there we have our little ray of sunshine happiness. Haven't come up with a name with it yet, but I will. So what I'm going to do next is, first of all, actually, I sign all of these. I know how I feel when I get a piece of original art. I want that signature be on there. It's that connection to the artist that I find very important and very appealing. So that's important to me that I have it on there, and I sign all of these things. So now this is the prototype. I will bake it, photograph it, and add it to my website. So by the time that you see this here on YouTube, it will already be up for sale in my channel. In my website, unless it's sold out. So like I told you, I have this many. So if you're watching this, and I have just recently put this up, I'll probably have some over there. And if you are interested in being able to see all of my one-of-a-kind stuff as they are done and have a chance to be part of that, please, check out the Diamond Group. You can message me if you have any questions about it, want to know more. But that is our little Cool Kids group, and that goes through Facebook. So we do a special Facebook group, and I have my original art for sale over there. All right, so there we go. That's how I make a limited edition weirdling.